Good morning, my name's Keegan. Welcome to back to the channel. It's a Saturday, not freezing, and spent the morning kind of wrapping aluminum foil around some of these things, masking off the corners so we can undercoat all four sides of the car, the wheel wells and everything. I was gonna do it yesterday, but it was super cold and I didn't want to spray it if it was just gonna peel right off. So it's like 50 degrees right now, so it shouldn't be too bad. So we're gonna spray these, and while these are drying, then I think I have a plan finally for the windshield wipers. I know I've been talking about doing it every video, but now I feel ready to take on the task, and hopefully by the end of the day we'll have the windshield in, and then we can start moving on to interior goodies. So I was gonna do like a little, quick before and after, but I did the first wheel a little seriously, the passenger front. Can start to get a little light. Did the passenger rear. Okay, we're like halfway. Did the front, and by the time I got to the driver rear, this is already gone. And I did one light coating, just the beginner brush over everything. Not even like the hard to see spots. You go back to the second, so a little sad there, but it's done. I always wondered what was inside these cans. Thought it was like a little spring ball, like in the protein bottles. It's a little glass marble, so we'll start a collection of these. Onto the wiper motor. I've got two nuts. I think they're 10 by 1.25, and these are a little bit longer, and we're gonna end up cutting off the bottom of these bolts, kind of shimming it down so it fits pretty perfectly in here. The issue is that I did put in these reinforcement bars, and because we're going down up, I'm gonna need, I need the arm to actually protrude through this. So it's going to be mounted a little bit farther down. So I originally was going to do it with these, but they were too small. So we're going to do it with these. And thankfully there's enough thread on here to kind of adjust where it's going to land. And we're going to get those hopefully pretty straight, because if they're not, the longer it is, the longer the swing is going to be back and forth, back and forth. Not trying to hear that, when I need it. But we did get some 97 NA Miata wipers. I guess this is a common upgrade for these anyway, because it's the common J-hook instead of the pin that is absolutely horrible to do, especially when you need to do it in a storm or whatever. But we're gonna first get these shimmed, welded on here, and then we're gonna work from there, kind of find where they're gonna land, size it up, make some brackets, keep the rubber mounts and everything in check. That way it shouldn't be too loud inside the car, even though the mechanism will be moving inside, but we should be all right. All right, we've got the bolts, the heads were cut off, and I was able to bottom them out. So I was able to push the flat part here against the flat part at the top of the, the shaft right here. Welded it. I did ground it to the aluminum, and it wasn't happy, so I ended up doing that far one. So they didn't come out the best, but I know they're not going anywhere. I'm gonna clean up this plastic. It kind of melted through from the lock nuts, but they were longer, so it was a better choice to kind of get the most threads on both ends. And now we're gonna start sizing it up in here and then end up making some brackets. All right, we got the wiper arm assembly just kind of barely hanging through. I did drill the one hole after marking the bottom around the rod with the Sharpie. I marked it with a punch and the hammer, drilled that out. Drilled the other side after hanging this side first, made that side a little bit oblong so it can swing into place. And then now we just have to worry about making the brackets. That's also why I didn't paint the steering column kind of holder right there. Can you see? Yeah, you can. The way it swings down and up. That's the reason I didn't paint that, is because I knew we were going to be building some brackets off of it. But we're going to make a bracket off of that, and we're going to see if we can use the original center console right side to make a bracket for the other end of the wiper arms. And then I did use the step-up bit and took some material out of the Miata ones, so they do fit pretty good on these holes. And these are actually pretty nice with the spring and everything. There's actually quite a strong return, so I'm not too worried about anything. Progress. Thankfully, I didn't mount that in place with the brackets. That was a slight concern, but they came out even with the rods attached, so that's a good thing. I did take some vice grips, small ones, and just kind of bend up the corners. There is a dimple tool, but I sadly don't have it. So we improvised, and that hopefully that little ridge has a little volcano effect. We'll be able to keep out just a little bit of the water. I also got these little rubber grommets, so we'll be using those, but we're gonna let that dry first. And then I did clean up some of the welds, but there's bracket number 1 and there's bracket number 2 right there. I did have it mounted up with the 2 original mounts, but I did go ahead and add a 3rd one right here, going to the bar that was holding the steering wheel as well, the steering column anyway. And I just welded a washer to the rod, mounted there, and now it's not swinging at all anymore, so that's not even going to be in question. And then for the wipers, I did end up taking the cutoff wheel and dipping it in because there was like a little dip down, so I just kind of made it a flat little channel, and that way it's going to be real smooth because we don't really have a lot of threads to play with here, so we're going to see what it looks like. A couple more hours than I was planning on, but they're in. I'm pretty happy with it. What I ended up doing was taking the old washer bolts from a 280Z. I used a stub-up bit, took out the threads for these, used a nut that fit for it, welded that to the bottom, kind of sandwiched them together, and then ground down the sides so that way I could stick it in under a washer, and then had a washer and a nut. So to install these, you're just going to need 2 crescent wrenches or whatever the sizes were, I forgot. But they're on there, and I guess tomorrow I will be doing the windshield, and I'll go pick up some wipers for Miata, and we'll see how it performs. I also do have to extend this switch to now go under the dash, so at most it's going to be 5 wires. Shouldn't take too long, maybe like 30 minutes, but I successfully tied in the extensions. You know, I cut at different points here, added butt connectors, and then added about 2 feet into it. And I really didn't want to put another hole in this, but I did find in the firewall there's an opening right there. So we're gonna squeeze this plug in through there and then plug it in because it comes out to about right here. So that should be good to go. And then I have this on rag, so don't panic. But I got some fine grade steel wool, and we're gonna see if we can clean up this windshield. It's got no cracks, and I forgot the last registered date on it, but we'll see. We did the one corner, kind of worked our way down to here, worked our way down to here, and then kind of had that little fight there. I find it easiest to sit down and then kind of, you know, put the windshield on your knees, and then that way you can split it with both hands from the front and the back, and you can kind of see when it's feeding the windshield into the rubber. But the hard work is done. Almost done prepping the windshield to put it in place and kind of pull it in. But this is where we started, went all the way around. You can do this with a flathead with the thicker camping wire, the woven stuff. I feel like that's a lot easier to do this with just because it's a thicker diameter. But this was some antique copper color wire that was laying around the house. It was going to get thrown away, but I knew I could use it for this, so I did. And we're just going to finish tucking it in all the way around, and then I'm going to go behind with a flathead, make sure it's as far in. That way I get as much lip as possible when I pull it, like how this one's too close to the edge. And then we're going to put it in place and pull it. We've gotten the lip started just by peeling this a little bit. And if you keep pulling it, it'll keep pulling the windshield down. So that part's underneath, that part's on top, and we're just going to keep pulling it all the way around, and it should work. Don't know where this gap came from, but hopefully that's just exaggerated from the rubber over here, and it'll pull down. Otherwise, we're gonna have to address this. It's almost a car again, and I did end up taking the windshield back out and bending up the cow panels that kind of hold onto the rubber, the little walls, the little bracket, because I guess it got flattened a little bit. So when I pushed it back up, if that makes sense, the rubber had something to hold on to. I mean, the fitment isn't great, but we did reconstruct the cow, and I'm pretty happy with the sides. I do believe I have the chrome up there. I just need to find more of these corner pieces. I need 4 of them, 2 for the other car, and then this should be good. So it's really coming down to needing to do the front clip, retrofitting those light bulbs. I need to spray the back with something. I need to spray the cow with something. I just gotta decide if I want to do the red or not. But we're going to do the interior throughout the week and keep chugging away. Today we're going to get the steering wheel hub put on. If anyone's ever done this before, it's pretty easy. You get an adapter for the splines for the steering column you do have, and then you're either going to go typically to a 5 or a 6-bolt hub. And then this is a quick disconnect I got from a friend. Not going to throw any crazy NRG on here unless you know they want to throw me some. But until then, we're going to do this one. Let's see if I can do this. I can't do it. So we're going to put that on first. Then we're going to mount the top of the disconnect to our extension we have, and then we're going to put that on the wheel. I'm going to thread lock everything. I already went back and officially torqued down the the important bolt, death bolt, steer bolt, and then put it on some wheels and maybe take it out again tonight, even though I don't really have headlights. She's good. Some long Allens. I despise Allens, not a fan. But we did need longer ones. Thankfully, the original car steering wheel had some. So we looted those. It was one of those 5-pattern ones, so we got a little tiny one just to fill the gap. But it's in there. And I trust the lengths of all of these should be good. And we will put it on wheels and get it down on the ground just to kind of hang out because it's weird climbing in. And we're gonna start doing the dash stuff. Wipers activate, and that's full juice. They're working, not hitting anything. Only issue is the wiper assembly is now where I wanted to have the speedometer and stuff. Center console's fine. Drove around a little bit, clean out the garage on a Sunday. So next will be interior panels.